Hi guys, welcome! In the previous episode of my Preparing for Ninja class series, we've discussed a Wind Shuriken physical damage build for PVE. This time we'll take a closer look at another build for ninjas, which is a Ninjutsu magic damage build for PVE. This is the fourth and final episode of the series, wherein we'll discuss the stats, skills, runes, equipment, cards, and tips that can help you prepare for a specific ninja build. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. As discussed in the first episode of this series, ninjas may specialize on casting ninjutsu and psychic spell skills that deal AoE elemental magic damage to multiple enemies. With proper timing and sequencing of skills, they are able to burst down enemies with huge magic damage. The only drawback is that almost all of their skills have a 0.5 second fixed cast time or FCT. However, ninjas have a skill called 16 Nights, which removes 100% of the FCT of skills for 30 seconds. It has a cooldown of 46 seconds, so you won't have any FCT 2/3 of the time. Since 16 Nights only removes fixed cast time, it is also important to reduce the variable cast time or VCT of your skills, and the skill with the longest VCT has a 7-second VCT. Having low cooldown and cast delay are also important to cast skills more often. To improve the damage output of ninja magic skills, we need to prioritize increasing the following stats: magic damage, magic penetration, skill damage, ignore MDef, and magic attack. Having high max SP will also help in boosting your magic damage due to the Ninjutsu cultivation passive skill, which ignores the target's magic damage reduction by 0.5% for every 100 points of remaining SP. Thus, if you have 6,000 remaining SP after casting a ninjutsu skill, then the skill will ignore up to 30% of the target's magic damage reduction. A well-balanced stat distribution is essential for increasing your overall magic damage. With that in mind, let's discuss next the recommended stats for this build. Prioritize putting points on Int, as it is a stat that directly increases your magic attack, max SP, and SP regen. Hence, Int will be the foundation for increasing your overall DPS. The next important stat is Dex, which reduces the variable cast time of skills. Every 30 Dex reduces VCT by 1 second. As for your remaining skill points, you may allot it on Vit for survivability, especially when fighting against boss monsters. Up next, let's discuss the most important skills for this build. First, for ninja skills, you should prioritize the following ninjutsu magic skills. First is Ninjutsu Ice, which calls forth a huge ice crystal to crash onto a designated area, dealing water magic damage to enemies hit and inflicting frozen status. It has a fixed cast time of 0.5 seconds, which can be reduced to 0.1 second with this AC rune. Another AC rune will increase its damage by up to 30%. Due to its low fixed cast time, cooldown, and cast delay, it's a very efficient farming skill even in the late game. Next is the Ninjutsu Flame Array, which is a good defensive skill as it creates a firestorm around you that can knock back nearby enemies, similar to Mage's firing. You can activate these AC runes to automatically cast Ninjutsu Flame Array when receiving melee physical damage and to inflict burn status to enemies hit. It's not that useful in PvE since it only lasts for 2 seconds, so you may just allot 4 points as a prerequisite for the next skill. Next is the passive skill Ninjutsu Cultivation, which increases magic attack and SP regen. As mentioned earlier, its breakthrough has an additional effect wherein it will reduce your current SB by 5% every time you cast a ninjutsu or psychic spell skill. In return, those skills will ignore the enemy's magic damage reduction by 0.5% for every 100 points of remaining SP. Thus, you will need to have high max SP to take advantage of this effect. As for the remaining skill points, you can allocate them on the following buff and auxiliary skills. First is Force Souls, which is a buff that summons an elemental aura around you. This will convert the element of your skills according to your chosen element. It also provides a 20% increase in the corresponding elemental attack. There are AC runes which grant extra stats and damage reduction corresponding to your chosen elemental aura. Second is Leave It Behind, which is a channeling skill that continuously restores both your HP and SP for 3 seconds. The ability to restore your SP quickly will help sustain the effect of ninja cultivation. While the skill is channeling, it may also grant 25% damage reduction if this AC rune is activated. Third is Ninjutsu Thousand Shadows, which summons shadow clones to assist you in battle. And last is Level 3 Misty as prerequisite for Shadow Slash, which increases your casting range while hiding. Take note that you can only attack while hiding if you hide using the AC rune skill Fog Cutting. Next, for the Kagero and Abora 3rd job, the most important skills to get are as follows. First is Psychic Spell Ogare, which summons a Thunder Beast around you for 18 seconds, dealing wind magic damage to one enemy unit every second. These runes will not only boost the Thunder Beast damage and duration, but will also increase the number of targets to free if the third line of this advanced rune is activated. Second is Psychic Spell Whirlpool Pill, which summons a ninja frog at a target location, inflicting water magic damage and frozen status to enemies within range. It also deals extra damage when enemies are in Ninjutsu Marsh. This Class A rune is very important in increasing its damage and reducing its cooldown to up to 1 second. Third is Ninjutsu Marsh, which creates a marsh under your feet that can clear all field skills such as the Chronomancer's Earth Field and Time Field. In addition, several debuffs may be applied on enemies stepping on the marsh, wherein their movement speed, agi, dex, and attack speed will be greatly reduced with the help of the Swamp Class B rune. The marsh can also be used offensively as there's an AC rune that can automatically cast ninjutsu eyes and freeze enemies inside the marsh. As for the remaining skill points, you may allocate them on auxiliary skills such as Hidden Shadow to boost the damage of shadow clones when hidden, Ninjutsu Dodge to slow down an enemy and teleport to its location, and Shadow Leap for mobility. Once you've changed into Yamata and Amaterasu 4th job, you can prioritize allocating your time quicksand on the following skills. First is Psychic Spell Snake, which lets you summon a huge serpent with many heads under your feet. It deals earth magic damage per second for 3 seconds and has a 100% chance to inflict fear on surrounding enemies. It's more useful as crowd control in PvP. Next is Psychic Spell Scorching Treasure Pill, which lets you summon a fire dragon onto a designated area. It deals fire magic damage 5 times to enemies within the area after a short delay. Among the magic skills, it has the highest magic attack multiplier, and thus it will be your primary damaging skill against boss monsters. Due to its long cooldown of 3.5 seconds and a short delay in dealing damage, it's not that efficient to use when farming. Next, get the Universal Nature skill to create an elemental array under the boss monster. The array will clear all field skills and consume your own elemental aura. When enemies are inside the array, their corresponding elemental damage reduction, def, and mdef will be reduced, and they will be inflicted with abnormal status. Another useful 4th job skill is 16 Nights, which removes a fixed cast time of skills and increases MP by 30% for 25 seconds. These two enhancement skills will provide additional 15% ignore mdef and increase its duration from 25 to 30 seconds. Last, you should also get Quick Escape, which is the anti-fatal mechanic of ninjas. The trigger chance is quite low, so you can enhance it with this Class S star rune. The general skill combo when fighting boss monsters would be to manually buff yourself first with 4 souls with Fire Aura to enhance your fire damage and increase your magic attack by 9%, and 16 Nights to remove the fixed cast time of skills and increase your MP and ignore mdef. Next, create an elemental magic array near the target using Universal Nature to lower their mdef and fire damage reduction. Since Universal Nature will consume your aura, you need to cast 4 souls again to regain your fire aura. Next, cast Ninjutsu All-Around Attack, which is obtained from a Class S Advanced rune. This skill deals AoE damage based on the elemental aura you carry, creates an elemental magic array similar to Universal Nature, and increases the ninjutsu and psychic spell damage received by the target by up to 50%, lasting up to 15 seconds. This will consume your aura, so you need to cast 4 souls again to regain your fire aura. Afterwards, you can start auto battle with psychic spell Scorching Treasure Pill, as it is the magic skill that deals the highest continuous magic damage. While the Fire Dragon skill is in cooldown, you may cast other skills such as Ninjutsu Thousand Shadows to summon shadow clones, and Psychic Spell Ogare, which deals constant damage per second. If your SP is running low, then you may cast Leave It Behind to restore SP. A high SP means you'll deal higher damage with each cast of Fire Dragon. When it comes to auto farming, just put in the following in the auto skill slot. The most efficient skill for farming is Ninjutsu Ice, since its fixed cast time can be reduced to 0.1 second with AC runes. However, it has a low magic attack multiplier, so you need to make sure that it can one-hit kill the monster you are farming even if you have low SP left. Just choose mobs which are weak against water element. Next, for SP sustain, you may put Leave It Behind if you lack SP discharge, or if you don't have the following gacha headgears. Next, to buff your damage, you can put 4 souls to summon the Water Aura, which grants plus 15% max SP with AC runes, and 16 Nights for increased M-Pen and ignore M-Def. You may also put the AC rune skill Fog Cutting for longer casting range while hiding. Up next, let's discuss the most important runes to get. For Aesir Monument, these are the runes that can help increase your overall damage output. If you have remaining gold medals and contribution, just activate the runes that improve your chosen auxiliary skills. For advanced runes, you need to prioritize the following skill runes. First is the All-Around Liberation Class S rune, which unlocks the Ninjutsu All-Around Attack skill, which we've discussed earlier. Aim for a high value in the second line for your Ninjutsu and Psychic spell skills to deal higher damage for a longer period of time. Second is the Thunder Wolf's Protection Class S rune, with a third line activated for the Thunder Beast skill to hit up to 3 enemies near you. And third is the Whirlpool Combo Class A rune to increase the damage and shorten the cooldown of the Ninja Frog skill. Other auxiliary skill runes you may get are Cicada Knight Class S Star rune with high percentage in the first line for increased quick escape trigger probability, and All Direction Shadow Class S rune, which increases the damage dealt and reduces the damage received by shadow clones. Your clones will be very handy when fighting against boss monsters, since they'll get the aggro of the MVP. As for the attribute runes, prioritize upgrading the following to increase your magic damage. Up next, let's dive into the suggested equipment set and cards. For weapon, the most suitable would be the Wind Wheel Dart weapon, which increases magic attack and an elemental attack. In addition, higher refinement will grant more ignore M-Def, movement speed, and variable cast time reduction. This can be crafted in Geffen and upgraded to tier 8 using the following materials. Its Sin version, when refined to plus 15, will grant a total of 18 int, 15% elemental attack, 30% ignore M-Def, 10% variable cast time reduction, and 5% magic damage. For weapon enchantment, aim for a high int or magic attack stat, and magic for 4th enchant. For weapon cards, it's cheaper and more efficient to use raised damage modifier cards and just switch depending on the monster you're farming. If you have budget for MVP cards, then you may use the following cards. For offhand, you may use the Creeper Agreement for a massive boost in Ignore M-Def, especially at plus 15 refinement. But if you already have more than 150% Ignore MDef even without Creeper Agreement, then I think Peak Platter would be a good alternative as it gives more MP, magic attack percentage, and int. A plus 15 Peak Platter also reduces fixed cast time by 10%, which is useful when 16 Nights is on cooldown. For offhand enchantment, aim for high int, magic attack, or max SP percentage stat and insight for 4th enchant. For offhand cards, you may use any of the following cards. For armor, the only option is Star Shatter's Gown, which is the core armor for magic class. For armor enchantment, aim for high int, magic attack, or max SP percentage stat and magic for 4th enchant. For armor cards, you may use any of the following cards. For garment, the most suitable for this build is a synth version of Natokig's Manto. This is because it grants int, variable cast time reduction, Ignore MDef, magic attack percentage, and skill damage percentage. For garment enchantment, aim for a high magic attack or max SP percentage stat, and arcane for 4th enchant. For garment cards, you may use any of the following cards. For footgear, the options are the synth versions of Crystal Pumps or Rune Boots for higher magic attack and int, or Momo Shoes for higher max SP percentage. You can check my footgear synthesis video to know which crafting materials to prepare for this new feature in RO 2.0. For footgear enchantment, aim for a high magic attack or max SP percentage stat, and arcane for 4th enchant. For footgear cards, you can use any of the following cards. But for late game, it would be better to use one of the following MVP cards. For accessory, the options are Time Manipulator, Kraken's Eye, or Tiber's Hand. For accessory enchantment, aim for high int or magic attack stat, and anti-mage for 4th enchant. For accessory cards, you can use any of the following cards. For headgear, there's a lot of gacha and non-gacha, so just choose the ones you have that will give the highest skill damage, magic penetration, Ignore MDef, variable cast time, and cast delay reduction. For headwear enchantment, aim for the following stats in each slot, especially the insight and arcane 4th enchant. For headgear cards, you may use any of the following cards. But if you have high budget, then you may use any of the following mini and MVP cards. As for pets, the most suitable would be the new Jack Pet in RO 2.0 as it gives a chance to increase your MP by 10% for 5 seconds upon casting a skill. Its passive also increases your Ignore MDef by 6%. Other pets that can help improve your damage output are as follows. There's also an option to use pets that can resurrect such as Obun and Osiris, or pets that can taunt enemies such as Orc Warrior and Orc Baby. Lastly, here are the other things you need to prepare. First, if you're going to multi-job your main character, then prepare 88 Big Cat coins as it's unlikely that a job transfer voucher will be given for free. If you just want to experience the class, then you may free up a character slot before the release date. Then create a new character and go through the Creatura Academy program to change into the Ninja 4th job in just 2 days. Second, stock up on your guild contribution and gold medals for the Acer runes, as well as dusty and glittering runes for advanced runes. Getting decent advanced runes requires some luck, so save as many rune stones as you can. Third, make sure that the stats in your guild blessing and guild prayers are aligned with the corresponding build. Prioritize increasing your MP, Ignore MDef, magic attack, and elemental attack. Fourth, for Oracle Mirror, you may extract the stats of any of the following: a high refined stick of Wicked Thought for magic penetration, a high refined wizardry staff for Ignore MDef, a high refined Oath Book page 2 for magic attack, or the staff of element fusion for increased AoE skill damage. Fifth, aside from getting a high magic attack unlock and deposit rewards in your handbook, you also need to invest in these cards and headgears which provide int, dex, max SP, SP regen, magic damage, and ignore MDEF unlock and deposit rewards. You can also unlock the following jobs for bonus stats. And lastly, save as much zenny and materials as you can, since the main weapon Wind Wheel Dart is not yet available in the current patch. You'll be needing plus 10 or higher refinement for it, which will be quite expensive. Also stock up on more coins for getting a decent enchantment. Alright, so far we've discussed the stats, skills, runes, equipment, cards, and tips to prepare for the Ninjutsu magic damage build of ninjas. I hope that my preparing for Ninja class series has helped you in building your ninja character. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed watching this guide. If you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button down below. I would love to have you back. Thank you for watching and see you in our next episode.